In a major escalation, the Justice Department has now issued nearly 40 new subpoenas in connection with efforts by Donald Trump and his allies to overturn the 2020 election. Sources telling NBC News that the DOJ also seized 2 phones. Separately, the Senate Judiciary Committee is launching an investigation into allegations of political meddling at the Trump Justice Department under then-Attorney General Bill Barr. The former U.S. attorney making the claims spoke to Rachel Maddow last night.
Turned the department into his own personal law firm. He put in people who would do his bidding, and they would, target Trump's political enemies and assist Trump's friends. And it was a disgrace.
Jeffrey Berman, the former U.S. attorney fired by Trump, says he was pressured to go after Trump's perceived enemies like Greg Craig, former Clinton White House counsel, while he was the top attorney for the Southern District of New York. Joining me now, NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Dilanian and former U.S. attorney and law professor Joyce Vance. Joyce, first to you, to go after the U.S. attorney for the Southern District and to demand that Greg Craig, a prominent Democrat, a lawyer, be prosecuted. Jeff Berman says and writes in his book that he refused and then was basically forced out, but hung on just long enough to make sure that his deputy, who could not be pressured, would replace him. And then, of course, Greg Craig was prosecuted by a more willing U.S. attorney in the District of Columbia and was then very quickly acquitted by a jury, but with great personal loss. And, of course, he lost his position in his law firm. And, how does he get his reputation back? But how unusual is it to have these allegations of meddling from the Attorney General of the United States, both in favor of allies and against perceived opponents?
Andrea, the allegations are absolutely unprecedented. It's important to keep an open mind. It's good for the Senate to embark on this investigation because we do need to know the truth. We're only hearing one side here, so investigation is appropriate. But if Berman's tales are borne out, they are very serious. No attorney general can afford to instruct U.S. attorneys or anyone else to even the score, to prosecute one Democrat for one Republican. That's not how justice works. Justice works on pursuit of the facts and the law and not of some form of political scorekeeping.
And Ken, let's talk about these new subpoenas and 2 cell phones seized. What does this tell us about the Justice Department's January 6th investigation and the investigation into the false elector schemes?
This is a significant escalation of this investigation, Andrea. 40 subpoenas, around 40, in the last week, and 2 cell phone seized, including the phone of Boris Epshteyn, a former Trump campaign advisor. A lawyer for former NYPD Commissioner Bernard Kerik, who said Kerik got a subpoena last week, told me that the subpoenas were seeking anything and everything regarding anyone and everyone connected to the Trump campaign. It was really broad, he said. And it's also clear that they're now investigating fundraising, including by a political action committee associated with Trump and other entities, raising money on the grounds that there was fraud, that many people believe that people raising the money knew that the fraud didn't exist. So a real expansion of this investigation right on the edge of the 60-day period during which the DOJ traditionally goes quiet around an election, obviously the midterms coming up. But they certainly will have a lot of documents and a lot of testimony to chew on over the next 60 to 90 days, Andrea.
And Joyce, your reaction, what does this tell you about the fact that they seem to be also following up certain leads from the January 6th Congressional Committee?
It looks like all roads have now led to one particular place in the center of a lot of different kinds of misconduct, whether it's the big lie, the big ripoff, the Mar-a-Lago incident involving classified documents. Some of the witnesses are coming together in a central forum. We now know that Christina Bobb, who signed off on the certification that all classified material had been returned, was also present in the Willard war rooms. So this is a good moment for DOJ to have 60 days to regroup and then see where their evidence leads them.
Well, our thanks to Ken Dilanian and to Joyce Vance. Thanks to both of you.